Week 8 propage, and I'm just going to, give you the data, and you make the call yourself because, I'm making the picks, yes, but I'm just telling you right now, they're all good picks. Will they all hit? No, probably not. Maybe even worse. Maybe only one or two of them. It doesn't matter. All I'm telling you is that these are good picks based on the data and the matchup and all that. We're going to save the best for last. So we'll start with Derrick Henry. Let's go. I think I'm 4-0 on these prop picks, over 97.5 rushing yards. We are going to get there. The plan may not be to feed Derrick Henry to open the game, as John Harbaugh kind of alluded to this past week, but the plan is, if they're leading, to play football like it's the leather helmet era in the second half, and you hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. In wins starting in 2022, Derrick Henry averages 116 rushing yards in wins compared to 67 in losses. Spoiler alert, they're going to win this game, I believe, against the Cleveland Browns. Henry is also averaging 8.6 yards a carry on outside rushes, and the Browns give up 6.5 yards a pop on those carries. So it's a good situation and a pretty good schematic matchup, if you will, for Derrick Henry. Next up, Evan Ingram for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I lost that damn Christian Kirk prop last week, and he'll probably hit his number this week. I was tempted, but no, I'm not going to go there. I go with Evan Ingram. They're going to throw the ball more than they did last week. Again, I counted like 17 viable pass attempts for Trevor Lawrence last week. That's not going to get it done. That's not going to cut it. We need more. This is a great spot for Evan Ingram. The Packers have allowed the 4th most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. Evan Ingram is a very pressure-sensitive player. When his quarterback is being pressured, it does not go well. But when Trevor Lawrence is kept clean, Ingram is averaging 31.6 targets per route run, which is 3rd highest among all tight ends, and it constitutes a 27% boost. His fantasy points per route run sees a 182% boost. He has a whopping 40% target per route run this year in his games this year when Trevor Lawrence is kept clean, and the Packers have allowed the 9th most receiving yards per game on passes traveling 10 or fewer yards downfield. These are multi-layers that we're going down here. Ingram has caught all 15 of his targets since returning 2 weeks ago, and he's leading all tight ends with 0.31 targets per route run. And oh, by the way, Green Bay is giving up the 8th most catches per game and the 7th most receiving yards per game to tight ends. And they surrendered 8 grabs for 96 against Trey McBride next week. So I will officially be shocked if Evan Ingram doesn't hit this, if healthy. I'll also be shocked if the Chief doesn't get it done. All I'm doing is recommending tight ends against the Baltimore Ravens this year. It's going to pay for my youngest daughter's college education, quite frankly. The Ravens are the league's 2nd biggest pass funnel, while the Browns' offense has the 6th highest pass rate over expectation this season. Baltimore giving up the most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing inline tight ends. Njoku had 10 grabs for 76 and a touch on 14 targets last week in his first game as the alpha, if you will. Ravens have given up the 2nd most receiving yards a game to tight ends. Oh, and I loved Cade Otton on Monday night. All he did was drop 8 catches for 100 in this very same matchup. Njoku in the matchup last year was very active, 6 for 46 and 6 for 58. So Njoku is hitting this number here. Very tight end centric week, 52.5 for Njoku. And once again, Cade Otton is not rotten. He will catch more than 4.5 receptions. I did guess wrongly on his prop. I believe I went receptions over yards a couple of weeks ago. Actually, in this same matchup against Atlanta, I did lose that, but it doesn't really matter at this point because Atlanta is going to do well. offensively, I believe. And they're going to have to throw, and he's kind of the only game in town here, Cade Otton. So we're going to do it. We're also going to do Demario Douglas. Even though last week he came up a little small here, but he only played like 33% of the snaps because he was illing out there, and he didn't play. But he's not even on the injury report. 38.5 receiving yards. I feel very, very good about that one. He is, I believe, their guy against man, and they play a lot of man, do the Jets. The Jets have played man coverage at the 5th highest rate in the league. They may get Michael Carter back, the slot corner, but Drake May called Pop Douglas his go-to guy against man before last week's game, and he does get a nice boost here against man. Demario Douglas sees a 32% boost to his targets per route run against man. You wouldn't think of him necessarily as a man beater, but it's kind of what he's done. In fact, in week 1, actually it was in mid-September, playing with Jacoby Brissett, he had 7 catches for 69 on 9 targets. So I like that one there. Nice and safe. A lot of these are safe. Like, none of these are going to crush, but I think we're going to hit most of these. Like Jaden Reed, over 56.5 receiving yards. You know, he's due, number one. Very good matchup overall for my guy, Jordan Love. You know, schematics look good. So, yeah, I feel very good about Jaden Reed. Now, if this is wrong against man, he's good. If this ends up being wrong, it'll likely be because either Dontavian Wicks and or Christian Watson kind of go off. But, you know, Jaden Reed is arguably the most reliable Green Bay Packer receiver. How about this one? This is my little sneaky one of the week, and I've also done very well recommending tight ends against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going there. Dalton Schultz, 30.5 is the number, and very, very, very basic stuff here. Well, you know, we can go a little more complex, but the bottom line is you don't start Dalton Schultz against teams that play man-to-man. You like him against zone, and that's what the Indianapolis Colts are. They're giving up 6.5 catches per game to tight ends. Schultz in his last 3 games in this matchup, including earlier this year when he only had 3 for 16, he's still averaging 4 grabs for 31. So he comes very, very close. Colts have allowed the 3rd most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. And like I mentioned, they play a ton of zone, and Schultz sees a 45% boost to his targets per route run. So, you know, I don't think they'll have to throw it all that much. Maybe getting DeForest Buckner back helps, but I love Dalton Schultz in this one. Also love Brock Bowers, over 59.5. Like the only game in town, we have the Chiefs as 10-point home favorites. Bowers lining up inside about 60% of the time. KC has also allowed the most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. I like having Gardner Minshew in here. Tough matchup outside. KC, again, allowing the most receiving yards per game and the most receptions per game to tight ends. And then DJ Moore, over 57.5 receiving yards. They do, DC, play a lot of man, and that's the guy against man coverage. That's who Caleb Williams is going to be looking for. The best bet for week number 8 is another tight end. Shocker. My guy, Jake Ferguson, over 38.5 receiving yards. Very good schematic matchup here for Jake Ferguson. San Fran runs the 11th most two-high coverage in the NFL, and Ferguson leads the Cowboys in target share against that shell. San Fran giving up 9.37 yards per target to inline slot players as well. Also weak on play action. Jake Ferguson is hitting this. Good luck with your plays in week 8. We'll catch you Monday.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now, absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.